right now. Oh, hey, we're live. Hey, we're live.
What up?
What's going on, everybody? Good morning. It's good
morning.
to see. Well, I wish there was a way this platform you could like kind of virtually hop in. I know there's the hop in platform. It's not the same thing, but it would be cool to like people could like, you know how
Hop
like
in?
there's teams pop in.
You mean
The
like Zoom?
competitor to hop in,
Like where they can see, we can see them, like Zoom?
Yeah, I think so.
Taylor, is that where like you're in the middle and like the Brady Bunch comes around you kind of thing?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Where it's like you could have people. It's like a semicircle. It's kind of like chanting, and obviously
Taylor's bunch.
Taylor's bunch. Tay's bunch.
Yeah, pandering bunch. Yeah.
Hey everybody, thank y'all for tuning in this
Panderers.
morning. It's really, really good to see you all. We're very excited to have a guest. I'm particularly excited to have found this guest. Quick little backstory for those of you who are trickling in. Cody and I were at a bar together, and not together per se. I was with my wife, and I saw Cody across the room. I saw Cody
and left your wife.
And I left my wife, and because Cody was by himself, I was like, oh man, like I didn't feel bad for this guy. I was like, I didn't know anybody else to talk to. So Cody and I started talking, and then lo and behold, he's in tech, I was in tech, and then now he's here. So Cody, thank you for joining.
I want to clarify. It's not like I was like yo-yoing in the corner by myself.
Yeah,
I can just see it. I can see
Taylor all flopping up in his flowery shirt. You look lonely.
I like walk around bars like this, like ooh. Oh man! So we're incredibly excited to hang out with Cody from Zerv today. Cody, just as people are trickling in, give just a quick 30,000-foot view about who you are and kind of your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So background's finance. Got into tech about 3.5 years ago with the founded Zerv. And how we doing?
Pivot, baby. Pivot. I like it.
Yeah. So I went from finance to tech. Best decision I ever made. And effectively, what we were trying to solve for was just all the inefficiencies between physical and digital world. How do we bridge the two? How do we get your phone to communicate with those assets that you own? Offices, homes, cars, garage doors, you name it. How do we empower your phone to open those doors and those systems? So started a journey. The journey has been fun thus far, and we just closed our Series A couple months ago. And
Cody, I want to ask, how did you come up with that idea? Like, was it just out of necessity, or like, man, I'm tired of all of these different security things that are in place, or keys, or things that I have to just talk to us a little bit about how you got there, and how do you create the idea beyond just like thinking about it?
Yeah, so subconsciously, how many times a day do you like search for a key, right, or a badge, or how many times do you go out of your way a year to meet up with somebody and give them a key or badge so that they can get in your parking garage or get into your home or your office, you name it. Like start compounding those out. Those statistics where you spend 2 weeks of your entire life waiting for a red light to turn green. Like they haven't really gone into the statistics of what it takes or how many weeks or months of your life you actually spend searching for something you've misplaced, like a key. The catalyst of Zerv was really around, hey, I want to rent an asset from somebody in a very granular, very inexpensive capacity. And like the process of meeting up with them to get a key doesn't outweigh the means. So therefore I'm paying way more. And in this scenario, it was a parking garage. The intent was like, instead of paying $54 per hour in a downtown Chicago parking garage, can I just pay $4 to the person who rents it for the whole month for $300? And the inefficiency was like, how do I get their access credential? And that set us on a trajectory of digitalizing all access credentials that are currently physical, putting them into an iOS or Android device, and then empowering that mobile device to communicate back to the legacy world. It was boom. Yeah. I can't say like
sounds easy.
Yeah, I was about to say thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. That was it.
Yeah, the security and compliance just seems like a walk in the park. Yeah.
Total walk in the park. Our first like real the stars aligned for Zerv, which is like once in a lifetime, never will happen again. When the idea was created, Motorola was in the process of being sold from Google to Lenovo, and Lenovo, being the company that is, was like, oh, we don't really need all the research and development radio frequency engineers who built the entire like cellular network ever. And they laid them all off in Chicago, and we hired all of them. So we got like really lucky with all the talent that just hit the market, and here we are.
Oh my gosh! All right, so talk a little bit about you did your first use case. How has your use cases evolved since? Hey, this was what made us want to do this, and where are you at now? Top 3 use cases.
Yeah, so the use case in which the hypothesis was created of like, how do we take physical, make it digital, and then enable digital to communicate back to the physical built world. It was all around convenience, and that selling point has stayed the whole time. But it's just changed. So now instead of going direct from consumer to consumer, like sharing a parking spot that I own, it's now we go to the businesses, and the businesses take it down to the consumer. For example, we partner with all the developers, asset managers, owners of big commercial multifamily and office buildings, and we help them streamline how you would get into an apartment if you were effectively like trying to self-tour, so you don't have to go to a leasing agent and go through that. Or if you're coming in and you're visiting a visitor, or you're visiting an occupant in a commercial like building, how many times have you gone to the security desk and then like, here's my driver's license, let me fill out this form, let me spend 10 to 15 minutes figuring out how I even get to the office. And then by the time you get there, you're already stressed out. You feel like you've wasted your time. So now with Zerv's technology, they just are like, do you have your mobile phone? Great. Walk in like you own the place. You get right to where you need to be. And efficiency goes through the roof. So the convenience play is still front and center, but it's just changed on the go-to-market strategy. It's not consumer to consumer. It's straight from business to business, and that business that we sell to, which are the Rockefeller Centers, the Grand Central Stations of the world. They then push that down to the consumer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, basically, you're a pre-approved guest, and you have the key in your hand because you have your phone, right? Whatever that is, if it's that building, if it's a car, if it's touring,
And it's all driven from your phone.
You can use case that even into tickets for an event at some point, something like that, even too.
We have amazing, like, it's really the most interesting part about Zerv that never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined it, is people are now coming to us and being like, hey, can you help us make the customer experience better? For example, we're working with one of the largest car rental companies in the world right now to streamline how you rent a car. So you don't actually have to go to a desk, give them all your information, then get the key, then go find the car, and then get out of the garage. It's with Zerv's technology, we open the door, we unlock the car, we start the car, and we get you out of the gate, all using your mobile phone. And it's something you have with you the whole time anyways.
Yeah, because as of right now, that process really hurts.
Please, can we mute this guy?
I don't know.
That's like a really big enterprise.
Yeah, so not that one, but we'll
Jake's jokes are going national.
I don't say.
I think they have too much
so Cody,
to deal with.
Cody, I want to ask you a quick question. All of those things sound like they're built on either old technology, like antiquated, like legacy things, or they just all seem to be very, very different. I mean, opening a door, opening a door to a building, opening a car door, opening, whatever the case would be, a lockbox for a home. I don't know. All seems to be very, very different technology. How do you guys get to, tie in so it doesn't become overwhelming for your product offerings to tie into all of that different tech?
Yeah, so we are effectively a translator between modern and legacy. It has to be contactless. So we can't like 3D print physical keys. Maybe one day we do that, but it definitely still needs to be some sort
They're
of
attached to your phone.
Yeah, that'd be cool, right? Somebody take that idea and run with it.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of millions of homes that still have that physical brass key that you insert.
Right, yeah.
So we do more electrical locks that have a badge or a fob or a push to start in your car, a toll pass for the highway. It's all built off of radio frequency. not physical insert a key into a pinned lock and open it that way. So how does it roll out? That's the beauty of our technology. It doesn't matter what contactless infrastructure you have, as long as you have something, we can adhere our translator to it, and that will effectively bridge the gap between your phone and that system, regardless of what the system is.
Assuming that I don't know anything about technology, which is like a pretty good assumption. I just
That's
play
a pretty
like
good
somebody
assumption.
that
I think that's a pretty good assumption.
pretty good assumption. How difficult is it to have that translator work between products? Is it everything is very highly customized, it takes a ton of development, or for the most part is everything similar, just some minor tweaks to whatever the specific offering would be, if that makes sense?
No, it's like the reason for the rapid success that we've had is because of how scalable our solution is. It doesn't matter what access infrastructure you have, and those are the assets that I'm talking about: your car, your office, your home.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have something that you can put a access badge or fob up to, we will connect it and we will bridge, and there's no customization needed. It's effectively at that point, it's taking your access badge, and I don't know where mine is, but like imagine my driver's license was my access badge to get me into my office. It just takes that and it embeds it into a phone, and then we put our little translator in, and regardless of what it is, that translator will manipulate itself to communicate to that legacy system.
No, go ahead, Cody.
So how okay, just from a secure, what is stopping Zerv from just someone using Zerv just to go up to anything?
Yeah.
Well, let me just hack into this and see what happens, right? Like, have you created?
Great question, Jake.
That's a great question, Jake.
It's a good question, and it's why we
why
we have hesitation to go consumer to consumer, and it's why we have that business relationship. So it's on the asset owner, which one day in the very near future, it could be everybody on this call owns their own asset. It's on.
So hold on. Are you saying it's not NFTs?
No, that's not what he's saying at all. That's not at all what he's saying.
You don't know what that means. Stop it.
Well, I don't know what that means. Please explain.
Taylor doesn't know what it means. He can't explain.
I don't know what it means either. No one knows what it means.
Taylor, you should watch a video that we did like 2 months ago on NFTs.
On NFTs? Okay.
Yeah, Unicorn Finders did a really good one. Yeah,
we did it to go.
Sorry to derail you, Cody.
Sorry, Cody, keep going.
I was trying to avoid the question anyways. I'm just no, we put the onus on the owner operators to invite the people who they want to access the asset. Perfect. So, for example, we'll continue with the rental car company. They would say, I authorize Taylor to start this car in this specific spot. And then they associate that with the phone number. And then once the phone numbers pass through, all of a sudden now your phone is communicating with that asset.
And you can set limits of how long they have access for and all of that. I know that that's a dumb question. I just wanted our listeners to know.
There's no dumb questions, only dumb people, Dan. Keep going, Cody.
No, it's definitely not a dumb question. It's, all that.
Get him, Cody. God, get him.
The synergy here is fantastic.
We're doing well. Should we
be doing
great?
Like
so we got some questions in the comments here, or some comments in the comments here.
Which one do you want me to throw up?
Let's throw up Garrett's. Seems combined the feature of the keyless entry for Tesla for cars, Brevo access control for a phone, and much more. It's really cool and will be awesome to see what other areas it facilitates. Nice. Thanks, Garrett.
Thanks, Garrett.
Very tech focused. Now, so yes, Brevo is a company that is in pushing the market to rip out what they have and replace it. Wow, I'm loving this pop-ups. This is great. Let's keep
Taylor has ADD, so just whatever you're talking about, Taylor doesn't care. He just wants to post his.
If we had control of that, it would totally derail Tayller. But since he controls it, he just thinks it's hilarious.
No, this is great. All right, curveball. I'm gonna read that. But you're right. So Tesla's pushing all new cars to be able to facilitate a phone opening. But there's 110 million cars in the US that don't have that functionality. So Zerv is the retrofit to bring those online as well. Same with Brevo. Brevo is a mobile access company that's like, hey, rip everything out and put in our system and problem solved in a very like niche asset class. And we're like, that's not scalable. There's not enough low voltage electricians in the world to be able to do that at any point in time in the next 2 decades. It would take decades and decades to rip out all the infrastructure. So that's why, Dan, and to your question earlier, the customization, we scale quickly. It takes 10 seconds to install our device on any reader. It effectively brings it online to be an IoT device. Once it's online, infinite number of users, it takes about an hour.
So the infrastructure piece of it is what connects to some sort of, is it its own signal device, or is it just a device that has to sit on somebody else's like Wi-Fi? Does it need Wi-Fi? Like,
no, it uses all the like latest technology from smartphones, Bluetooth, ultra wideband, near field communication as a means to communicate from mobile to legacy to our translator, and then our translator manipulates itself to communicate with that legacy system.
So if I had a car, for instance, and I know I'm asking a lot of questions here, they're all fantastic questions. So if I had a car, let's just say a car from like 2000, and it didn't have keyless entry, there's something that I could put into like my car to allow me to use this potential platform to get into my car. Could I make it so that it turns on the ignition? Like, what are the possibilities? Please tell me the possibilities here.
Yeah, so depends on the car. That's the question. And we don't actually make the physical key that would go into the ignition switch. So it has some sort of proximity type credential. So like a push button, yes. But on the physical key into the ignition and twist, that's where Zerv stops. Same with physical assets like homes and offices. If you actually have to put in that key and spin it, we're not a solution. But
like if I wanted to like leave my keys in the car when I went into Publix, I could use it to lock the door, if you will, unlock the door, and then that's where my limitation. Okay, I just wanted to.
So I have a question, Cody.
Okay.
Oh, finally.
So
I'm gonna pop up ads here during your.
Okay, go ahead. I'm a professional.
I don't have that functionality, actually.
Yeah, you don't. So talk about some failures, right? So we've had some people DM us, and I've had some people text me like, "Hey, Taylor, love the show y'all do. Love this. It's all successes. What are companies doing? You know, let's highlight companies." But we want to hear more about failure and more about how to overcome failure, maybe some pitfalls that individuals or organizations have had when growing. Do you have like 1 or 2 things that you feel comfortable sharing to where you can say, hey, listen, this is where we hit a brick wall. Here's how we pivoted. Maybe just give some examples.
I do. This is totally off the cuff. Thanks for the prep, guys, that we're going to go into like, hey, where's my dirty laundry? This is cool. Fun. So Zerv is really unique in the sense that I came from finance and I started a tech company that is full stack with hardware, which has had a million challenges out. And, you know, with that came speed bumps, hurdles, mistakes. And it really comes down to like, when you're doing something new, you might think you know everything, but lean on the people who actually know everything. And then like be a sponge and just take it in. And then like, okay, what am I missing? And I believe starting it, I was so hyper focused on the outcome. I wasn't looking at like all the parts that added up to it. A really good example is our entire first software stack that we built. It was built on a language that didn't support native functionality of a phone. There's a lot of like hybrid approaches that circa 3 years ago weren't as robust as they are today. So if you built a hybrid mobile application, a hybrid meaning it can both be optimized for Android and Apple, it didn't bridge well. Like Bluetooth, near field communication, and ultra wideband functionality wasn't like immediately enabled. So we'd spent months and months and months and hundreds of thousands of dollars building a software stack that we got to a point that the people that we hired, they're like, this will never work because you need all this negative functionality. And I was like, well, who was supposed to tell me that? Because I'm a finance guy, so I'm just writing the checks here. And I'm like, oh, we're tracking on a roadmap. So that was a rough one.
There's only a few use cases that like you can't have in that native, and one is that, I mean, well, some of the new React Native updates having that Bluetooth low energy stuff specifically is now in the last like 6 months. But you could, you're right, you couldn't know that at all. Yeah.
So that was a setback, to say the least. Hurt, but we overcome, and then I learned and we adapted, and now what we're really focused on is bringing on the best of the best, the people who are experts in what they do, that are self-motivated leaders that are like, okay, I'm not against telling the organization what needs to happen, right? Because we're humans, we can't know everything. We can't be the jack of all trades, especially something so granular as physical access, identity verification, mobile hardware. There's just so many nuances. So that lesson was very critical in the foundation of Zerv, because then we pivoted very quickly and we're like, from this point on, I'm no longer going to think I'm the person who has all the answers. I was kind of leading the vision, but it got us to go deeper into the due diligence phase of making sure that we bring on the best talent.
Speaking of due diligence,
kind of that technical. Oh, I'm sorry, bud. Go for it.
No, it's fine, please.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep going then. Do you have kind of a technical co-founder lead type person now that's like watching out for you for now in the future, or are you still trying to?
We're still trying to find
that person.
Yeah. So we have an incredible engineering team, software and hardware. But when you're talking like CTO level, we haven't really identified that specific individual yet, and it's somebody we're looking for to bring on in the next 4 to 6 months. It takes a long time to find.
Man, it's crazy. It's almost like if you were talking to 3 people who knew people.
It's like, who had that job spec, and that we could start circulating that.
Yeah.
How do I pop up a quote?
Here's a good idea. Yeah.
So where does it look like, and kind of as we wind down here, what's on the horizon? Where are you guys going? What are some people should be excited about, be on the lookout for from Zerv over the next few months?
Yeah, so internal excitement is the Series A. We bootstrapped the company, self-funded for 3 years, very, very strapped, and now we just brought on a great group of investors, a significant amount of capital for the space, and we're just ramping and scaling exponentially here. So excitement, watch our headcount double every quarter, maybe every 6 months. And really attractive markets, Atlanta, Nashville, where I am, Taylor, you are, and Chicago, Dallas,
Raleigh's definitely
Tampa.
Yeah. I do time. You can find a really good CTO there. Perfect. Let's open an office.
Hey, you had the IBM was here, Cisco, Lenovo, all that hardware.
I love it.
We have tech data here.
That's not a thing.
You're not a thing.
Yeah.
Dan, we got tech data.
Okay.
Dan's over here like, you guys
PHP, you like brawl it out a little bit here. We go back to SEC sports. Like,
this is. Hey,
you do not,
SEC sports.
Cody, want to get into SEC sports.
Derek goes, what are some cool things and expertise that you are bringing to Zerv that you wouldn't get from wouldn't get if you came from tech instead, i.e. how previous skills could translate from different fields of work?
Yes. Okay. So I think I'm going to answer this question, but if I don't, let's say it again. We're so focused on the user experience coming into this new era, right? So it's like the technology does one thing. It's an efficiency, but a world we envision and a world that we sell to our customers day in and day out is like, imagine going to Rockefeller Center and all the doors being open and they only close when you're not authorized to go in. So a very different change in mind and subconscious, where it's like right now you're constantly validating who you are to the physical world. Every time you get to your car has to unlock. You have before you get in
Right.
your garage. You have to open the garage. Imagine where all these doors and gates are open all the time, and they only shut when they see somebody coming in who's not supposed to be progressing. So like the efficiency that can come from that, the level of excitement of you being like, oh my gosh, I'm actually invited in. Nobody's worried about throwing barricades in my way because I know I'm supposed to be here. So I think to answer the question, from people coming from outside of tech, we're so hyper focused on the solution of what people want and what makes them feel good and what gets people back into offices, especially coming out of COVID. It adds to efficiency so you can spend more time on the things you enjoy doing with the people you love and the activities that are really excite you and, you know, build a company. Who knows? So we're focused on like, how do we eliminate all those bottlenecks that either tear you down or add to inefficiency? And so as long as you have a mind of like solution focused, like, hey, what are the problems? What are the bottlenecks? That's where we're really striving.
Cool.
So, did that answer that question? I don't
No,
know.
I
think
it was
so.
a different, it was a cool answer to the question. I think he was probably also asking like, because you came from finance and not tech,
Got
as
it.
a startup,
Yeah.
founder, then like what advantage did you have when if a VC would be more like, oh, I want a tech founder versus a finance? I think I know what the obvious advantages are of coming from finance going in through the VC world, right? But
yeah, no, it's a great question, and I believe what really helped Zerv is being able to articulate the story and call out the pains. I know a lot of people that are brilliant engineers that struggle to articulate stories. So I would almost argue like if you put somebody who's it's just being able to communicate. And I came from a finance where I was doing a lot of like hedge fund investment banking, and I needed to be able to articulate that narrative. So that's the biggest thing. When you're raising money, you could have the worst product in the entire world, but if you can tell a beautiful story and you can make it relatable, it's like,
yeah.
I love that.
It also helps, but it helps when you have like a really disruptive, amazing product as well.
Sure.
yeah, I mean that doesn't suck. Yeah.
It's important that you're focusing. It's all about usability. For people to adopt what you are trying to do, it has to be seamless. If like I have to scan my phone 5 times to get in my car because it's not working, I'm gonna be like, I'm done.
Look, we just implemented a lock door thing on our office.
Can't hide money.
Hate it so much.
Cody,
You have to keep it on, and it keeps dysfunctioning. I'm like, I wish I would have found you like 30 days ago.
Don't worry, we can
we picked the wrong one.
Question, Dan. Ask your question.
I've been waiting to ask a question for a very long time, and you guys pulled me completely away from what I wanted to do before.
Go ahead. We'll wrap
another question. Okay, very good. Cody, it's an app on your phone, or what if you don't have an app? Like, what if I want to send a key to, somebody that's not technology driven?
So it mainly is an app. So 97% of our users engage with it through a mobile application. And Zerv's mobile application, it's typically like your tenant experience, visitor management, even things like dog walking services and house mobile applications. But there is an option to send a link where you can open a specific door via a link. And I say this kind of skeptically because that adds some insecurity to the system because you can technically still forward on the link. We feel like we've done a good job minimizing that, where you can scan like a QR code when you get to the door or tap a near field communication tag when you get to, and then open that specific door. It's very much in beta for like visitor management exclusive. We're working through how to make it better. Like, can we do like push notifications to the phone just to make sure that it truly is the user in the right location at the right time?
Yeah.
Because last thing we don't want you opening your office door for your wife or fiance or significant other. Be like, hey, I left my laptop there. Can you go pick it up for me? that's a security risk for the building. They don't.
Right. Sure.
So,
Yeah.
and that's like a very real life example where it's like, hey, can you swing by my office? Technically
Yeah.
not allowed. So we have to be very cognizant not to allow that.
That's a good point.
Well, I could talk to you about a whole other host of things, but we've run out of time. So
Yeah, we'll take some offline. I've got a couple follow-up questions.
Yeah. Cody, stay on, y'all. Thank you again.
Yeah, the rest
for,
of you guys, goodbye.
Yeah,
We're
rest
gonna
of
have the
y'all.
real talk now.
Bye. But thank y'all for tuning in to Unicorn Finders this week. We appreciate y'all a ton. Again, go follow us. Our podcast is now back to being live and posting bi-weekly. So y'all go check that out. Rate us, review us, follow up with Cody, keep up with Zerv and what they're doing. And we'll see y'all next week, 9:30 a.m. Central on Thursday.
Next week we do have our guest. Next week is startup business lawyer. So if you wanted to bring your questions at all,
no, that's the 26th. He picked
comments.
the 26th, Jake. He picked the 26th.
Ooh.
Hey, that's a good point. 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
Totally.
As
we
Jake
know,
was saying, 2 weeks.
We know
from
our
now.
guests and what they're doing.
I just don't know the calendar. Okay, that's totally different.
I know calendar's tough. Okay, I'm ending this. Thank
Words are
you.
hard.
Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it.